know if you can see this guy to my left, but it's a special guest. And I just told him he's going to have to come on the pod a lot more because he's the only person I know of that is more pessimistically optimistic than myself. So welcome to the Doom and Gloom Club.
Take that as a huge compliment, by the way. Thank you.
Look at this guy. We have Alex Stupak, the great, great, great Alex, coming up. Welcome to the Dave Chang Show, part of the Ringer Podcast Network, presented by Major Dome Media. Thank you, Yola Tango, as always. And you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify or YouTube. Join us on Spotify and YouTube at the Dave Chang Show. And we have all things going on Discord. Sign up for there for our community and Recipe Club. Chris and Noel have a lot of good things going on. But, you know, we're in New York for the week. We're in New York Spotify studios doing a lot of work. Not the kind of work that I used to do in New York, but busy nonetheless. But the one person I wanted to have on for sure, just to sort of give a state of the union of things, is this gentleman right here, Alex Stupak, who I've known for a very long time. And he has been on the podcast before in 2023. I believe that we were talking about, just want to make sure because we don't complain about the same things. Oh, how stupid everybody was.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think I was just opening a restaurant.
You were opening a Misha.
Which is now closed.
And, you know, let's get into that. So we're going to talk about food and food movements. But I think in order to get a sense of where things are going, we sort of need to understand where things have gone in the past. And for just a quick recap, Alex, he's a masshole, number one. Number two, he loves death metal. As you can see from his shirt, he knows bands that I have no idea what the hell they are, but they all sound the same to me. He has been one of the most, he'll never say this. This is when you know it has gone really far. You see pastry chefs all over the world making techniques that they think is theirs, but it was actually invented by this gentleman right here. And that's when things have gone really far. But it was also a testament to the ingenuity that he's had. And while I think I am a high level, maybe like I might be if this was Hogwarts, I think I might be like the top level dark arts professor of sandbaggery. But I'd always know that like there's one other person that could teach here and would take my spot, and that would be yourself.
Do people know what sandbagging is?
Can you want to explain to them?
Sandbagging, look, it's like being a culinary Nostradamus. You get the thing ready before anyone even asks you for it. And some chefs think that's negative. I just think it's efficient.
It's developing, it's a whole mindset. And it is very similar to dark magic in Hogwarts. It's not like something they're going to teach you in school. We've talked about this a lot, but I think it bears mentioning again and again and again because I just don't see enough people doing it.
They're scared of the dark side of the force. They're afraid to wield it.
Because they would never teach you this in cooking school, ever, because it's too fucking dangerous. And the reality is, you can be seen, you have to really toe the line of being a hack, because if you do it too much and you let your secrets be known, you're a fucking shoemaker. You're a hack.
Yeah, and again, in the wrong hands.
Dangerous. Dangerous. But if you're clever enough, it shows extraordinary ingenuity. It shows that you're thinking about work all the time, which honestly, I've always looked for. It's like, if somebody's trying to figure out how to be more effective, more efficient during mise en place and creation of a dish and service, that's what we want. We want people to work smarter, not harder. And I have been a long-time advocate and trying to change, much like the narrative around MSG, that sandbaggery is not a bad thing.
No.
You know?
One of the most famous chefs in the universe with the most famous dish in the universe it's the biggest sandbag I ever saw in my life. I couldn't believe it.
And I thought I was a master of it until I saw the real master. Like, you know, it's like I got to the last door of the Matrix only to see that this guy built the Matrix. This guy was plating shit for the day before. God, I'll never forget that. I was dumbfounded, still think about it. And I was like, wow, I have to bow down
It worked. People liked everything. It worked out.
So,
A la minute is for suckers. I hate a la minute.
but yes, besides death metal and Boston Massel, and he was the opening pastry chef at Alinea, and then he moved over to WD-50 when Sam Mason left, and he did not sort of do the same thing. It was something very different, but still in the same universe of what WD needed to happen at WD-50, the restaurant we probably talk the most about on this show. And then he made the switch to make tacos, and he's had a great success as the owner proprietor of Empeon and the many varieties. And the last time he was here, we talked about Misha, and he just got a lot of shit because he had a $28 hot dog?
$29.
$29. What a fucking ripoff.
It was worth more.
And, and I mentioned he created a lot of techniques, and he's one of the sharpest, brightest minds that we've ever had. Not even in America. Very few people can lay claim to creating more than one, let alone a dozen of really influential culinary techniques. And while he is mostly known as a pastry chef before his sort of days as a chef of both savory and sweet Empeon, he's been in the game, and everybody knows him and respects him tremendously. So excited to have him on. But that's what we're going to talk about. I wanted to talk mainly about how we got here in terms of the movements. And let me explain that. So, you have Nouveau cuisine, and that sort of ties to other, parts of culture, which leads to, discovery of new technology, and you're formalizing things. And it's like, hey, we have like a suburban house, we have a TV. These are just normal building blocks of life. And then what I mean by that is you get to modernism. So all this food and all this TV dinner and all this fast food and all this shit gets to the 90s, aughts, really the early aughts, where you have people perfecting and now putting different interpretations of what came before, right? Basically nouveau cuisine, of haute couture dining. And that was really led by Ferran Adria, Heston Blumenthal, different category, but same spectrum, Keller. You'd also probably put, Arzak. There's a whole host of chefs. And then the not really Robuchon, but you'd also probably put Bras and Passard and Garnier.
Sure. Yeah.
And those were the modern chefs. And again, that got lumped into the horrible word association of molecular gastronomy, which is the dumbest thing ever created.
Yeah. And again, everyone hated that term, but no one who hated it came up with anything better. No one could offer the media another term and that's what they needed to speak about.
Should have just been gastronomy or modernism, because that's what it was. It was just modernism.
Yeah. I mean, other than Wylie and Heston, I don't think any of those chefs were focused on understanding food at a molecular level. I think they were focused on creativity.
Yes. And I think we're coming out of, not to sound like a philosophy or anthropology or sociology here, but like, some might say in culture, we're coming out of like a postmodern state in food. I think postmodernism has been in American culture for quite some time.
It's a big old mess.
Big old mess. And the way I've always interpreted it is its ability to tell a narrative from a variety of stories and merging it so you can, the best way to express postmodernism would be like a hip hop producer or a DJ, being able to craft a lot of different things and put your own spin on it. There's maybe a healthy dose of irony in there. And I think you've seen that in food, which is why I probably put Wylie more in the postmodern era, right?
Right.
Because there were more tongue-in-cheek things. It was, it's like he's straddling the line of modernism to postmodernism in terms of what he's done. I would put Grant in postmodernism.
For sure.
Because you're using nostalgia from the past to understand something moving forward. And while this may seem like gobbledygook to you listening, like think about it. I think it's a good idea to have some understanding of this because quite frankly, there's not some scholarship. We don't go to school for this shit. I'm just saying when I mean scholarship about this is I don't know critics and I don't know enough diners that are having enough of these conversations. So we have an idea of what's come before us and where we're probably going. And like a good example would be in terms of like postmodernism, like towards where we're going to. Meta-modernism would be, recently the great Michael Cimaristi of Providence just received 3 Michelin stars, long overdue. And his is like again, a Southern California version of Passard. Mm-hmm. And of David Kinch. So you're still taking things from the past and like perfecting them in a way. And now I feel like the best version of where I think we're going, which again sounds crazy, and I don't want this to sound so masturbatory, right? It's just you sound like an asshole talking about the shit, but I think we have to. Is what people seem to call like meta-modernism or postmodernism, and we're in food where people are making. Your hot dog is a perfect example at Misha. It's a fucking serious thing, but it's also a fuck you.
It actually came from a very intellectual place. It came from 2 points of view, and no one got it. They just thought hot dog, that price, that was the point of it for everyone. I think where we've arrived at, and this hot dog was the point, and I've made another dish that has proven this, and I will open an American restaurant again, and this will be the most prominent dish. But I think when you think of the generation younger than us that was born with Instagram, like born with social media and that onslaught of information, it gets, how do you say it? I think we're at ubiquity. Like we're at the most basic. You're seeing this where like I'm the culinary director of a hotel now, and the number one selling item in the entire property at all the restaurants, chicken nuggets.
Yep.
Chicken nuggets. And I'm like fascinated by that. I'm disappointed and fascinated, and I'm trying to intellectualize where that's coming from. And I think where it's coming from is that you have a younger generation bombarded with so much information. Once upon a time, chefs did not need to spin a story as a skill set. They did not, and that became, you had to, right? But so much of that, then we get sick of it all. So people want something they can trust. I'm selling more canned beer in my bar than I've ever sold, and I have 18 beers on tap. Like, what is it? Give me that. Give me a Tecate. Give me a chicken nugget. People want something that they can trust. And weirdly, then, if you want to make the best chicken nugget ever, well, then that's the future for me. You know what I mean? Because that's where I see it going.
Because nothing's really changed. We've always been a steakhouse town. Yeah. When I say steakhouse country, that doesn't mean literally just steak and potatoes, but it's just a metaphor that we're not nearly as sophisticated as we want to make ourselves.
Look at how even like the hottest restaurants in New York City, look how they're being designed. And no offense, but like, look, Monkey Bar is beautiful, and Charles Fort Prime Rib, they're beautiful, and the corner store is beautiful, but they're beautiful in a very warmly basic, dark, warm, and handsome, classical way. You know what I mean? And I don't mean as an insult, but there's no edge to them. You know, there's no. I always decorate my restaurants where like I want you to look up and be like, oh, what's that weird mural up there? And what that's weird. What, like, I want you to be able to discover little bibs and bobs, and it's different. So yeah, like I think the hottest restaurants are serving chicken nuggets and chicken tenders and
seriously
French dips. We're lining up for French dips.
And listen, we're opening a restaurant in LA, and it's going to be food that I want to eat this shit too. You want to eat this stuff
you
too.
You do. Like, so let's be honest then. So then there's no more high low. There's only good bad.
And I think you have articulated more clearly than my rambling incoherent nonsense about, the postmodernism era, which is saying this. I want to punch myself in the fucking face. So let's just say it's meta, right? And talking it out with you, and I've been really wrestling with this, right? So, the first time I saw a tongue-in-cheek dish was the coffee and donuts from Keller, right? Which was like a semi-Fredo with a donut, and like everything became sort of like tongue-in-cheek. But everything's in a goddamn quotation
mark. And that was
mark.
The first too, where like there's a dish that you don't associate with fine dining, and then he brought it into that realm.
The quail egg with bacon, brunoise, it's all of these things are like a planned breakfast. Everything was a play. Maybe it's a little too many quotation marks today. Everything's in a quotation mark. Don't at me because it's the fucking truth. He can get away with it because he invented it.
Yeah, it's his style.
It's a style. But he really was the first person, at least in America, to heavily incorporate that into his menu and his style and his point of view. And the way I wanted to phrase like these periods was going back to the Trois Gros Boys and Bocuse there was no nostalgia. They're just inventing it sort of for the first time.
Yeah.
And then we get to modernism, which is, perfection of the past, but you're still using the past and nostalgia and history to perfect things. Postmodernism is we're now making fun of the past. We're now using the past as a gateway to talk about the present in different points of view. And again, I think Alinea is a great example of that, whether it's the helium balloon or, black truffle explosion or whatever. It's like that's using, say, like a fruit gusher. It's using a bite of food that people might be aware of today that might have been a weird texture to somebody in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And now this narrative, right? This narrative of nostalgia and history, we're at a place where everybody has a story. And if you can't tell your narrative and you can't tell your story, sometimes it's like too much. We've gone too much in telling fucking stories.
Yeah, we've become over it. That's my point.
Yeah.
There's too much information. It's like, don't give me all that shit. Just give me the chicken nugget, for fuck's sake.
And we've come back to some place where we're not on the same sort of plane. It's at a different point. But we are gone back in time. We have definitely gone back in time. So the question is like, what is actually going to be new all over again in food, right? I think I've been dreaming of doing hot shops. In the DC area, Marriott owned this thing called hot shops, and they were just buffets. I'd go with my grandparents, you take a tray, you get liver and onions, get some mashed potatoes, get your lemonade. It was like their version of a meat and three.
It's weird. It's weird because the way social media and all this information has kind of, the past, present, and future are all happening at the same time. So
this literally is like a Marvel fucking movie.
So in that way, a meat and three, in that way, maybe it feels like chaos, but at the same time, if something's good and it's placed in the right place, it should work now. So in that way, we're in a very free time. There is no dominant style anymore. Like just recently, I started a new thread on my Instagram.
My favorite. Before you phrase this, let me give us some exposition here for the audience. The reason I'm bringing this up is I feel like this is maybe the best way to understand where, while he's going to talk something food related, where I think it's easier to comprehend because it's still hard to see it sort of formulate in food, this postmodern era. And what I mean by that is the hot dog is one thing, serious and also a message, whatever. But like part of this era we're in with this timeline issue of past, present, and future is a narrative is being told, but oftentimes it's told in some kind of ironic way, right? Mm-hmm. Because irony is this vehicle to tell a funny story. But I feel like today it's more of, I'm deadly serious. I'm very serious about what I'm saying, but the only way to deliver it is this candy coating of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And you have been doing all kinds of social media posts over the years, but I feel like you really found the perfect medium.
Yeah, I found my lane.
It's so good.
It's two things.
Can you explain?
Yeah. So, and again, to the point of past, present, and future all mixing up, I was just like, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to write a list of every pastry technique I've ever done that's original to me that I did at Alinea or WD-50. And I'm going to give everyone all the information. I'm going to dump it out. I'm going to show everyone how to make it. So there's information there. But then I'm going to embrace the absurdity of where we're at as society. And instead of being mad at it, I'm going to be a stupid talking head on Instagram. And I'm going to do what the algorithm is telling me to do. And I'm just going to hide it all in plain view.
And
it's never worked better.
It's so good.
I'm gaining followers every day now. What's happening in the comments is exactly what I wanted to happen. People are telling me that I ripped the technique off from this person and this person. No one knows, and it just proves my point. No one knows what the fuck's going on anymore. We've lost it.
That's beautiful. It's so funny.
So for me, it just has become an art piece, and I'm just going to keep going with it for as long as I can.
Fucking awesome. That brings me actually so much joy that's actually unfolding the way you wanted it to. And again, you actually wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
It's an art piece.
Nothing matters anymore. There's no race. when Albert and Ferran were doing their thing, it was a race to get it to the book first. That's who invented it, the person who put it in the book. That's so irrelevant now.
There's no information.
Books?
There's no information asymmetry anymore. You have no competitive advantage of having anything new or novel anymore because it's immediately copied.
Yeah,
to the point where nobody knows who did what, right? It's like, I'll give you an example because there's plenty more. This is not the best example. It's like when you're listening to, Vanilla Ice and you're like, you grew up listening to Vanilla Ice and then you hear Queen Under Pressure for the first time. You're like, Vanilla Ice took the beat from Queen. That's what's happening in food. And this is where we're at, where it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Technically, you're not wrong, but you're deadly wrong too. And I think that when you've discovered this lane that you're in, this to me encapsulates what you are really trying to do right now with your food. That's what your hot dog is too. That's what your chicken nugget's going to be. And
I'm mocking everything. Yeah. I put a hot dog in front of the New York Times critic.
Yes.
That's ballsy.
And this is what I want to say when people's like, oh, chefs can't be artists. I was like, this motherfucker's an artist, even though he's listens to the terrible heavy metal music. Am I wrong in stating any of this? I think I've figured out what Stupak is doing.
My goal is for it to hide in plain view in the mainstream. That's the art piece.
And what we're talking about, no one gives a shit anyway because people might listen to it, but it's not going to register.
It doesn't matter. And it's just, if you look at all these paths that chefs are on, the Michelin path or the world's 50 best path or the this path or the that path, they are paths, and there is a consistency amongst them. And that's what scares me. Like anytime there's a path before me that I can see, and one was just before me, I just dared to go on a food cooking competition show, and you can see
I must piss my pants when he told me this. I was like, you better save this for the podcast.
Yeah, and like you can see that path and how those chefs are all in a clique and they're all in a circuit and all that. Anytime there's a path laid before me, I can't describe why, but I want to run right back into the woods.
Which is why he became a pastry chef. And it's why he stopped being a pastry chef. And it's why, you've zagged at every point of your career.
It comes down to rebellion. It comes down to like the punk rock mentality. Even if you didn't like punk rock, like growing up as a kid, I was always with these like hardcore kids, these skateboarders, and they were always a step ahead. They were like in the suburbs of Massachusetts, they were the first ones to wear like Adidas Gazelles. And then 2 years later, everyone was wearing them. And that was the time that you couldn't wear them anymore. Now that's sellout. It's a little bit of a difficult position to live your life in, but the idea is that when something catches on, it's time to move away from it. At WD50, which was, heavily inspired by Heston and certainly El Bulli, I remember going to those conferences and being excited and having everyone in the audience be like, this is bullshit. This food is...
We talked about last bite. We went to one of the last serious ones.
Yeah. But people still hated it too. They were like, that's not cooking. That's what made me love it. Because it was, but then, years later, you can't turn on friggin' Food Network without seeing some asshole with a faux hawk pour liquid nitrogen on shit.
But all of the techniques that we were trying to learn and get close to and question the creators of these techniques and understanding that like a lot of times that might be like a failed patent or whatever, but still someone put 2 or 3 things together that had not been done, at least in independent, ambitious restaurants. And
everyone was trying so hard
to do and have a unique point of view.
That was it. It was about, so again, that's like, when you talk about like modernism, whether it's art and I think food always comes last.
Yes.
Like it's art first and then
fashion. Music.
Food's last probably because you have to put it in your mouth. So that's a hard.
And because this is where I think you're getting to something super interesting when I wanted to get to. It's visual art, it's literature, it's the mediums that can be consumed quickly by a mass amount of people.
Yeah.
The reason food is last is because it's not really scalable.
No. And it also has to cross the most personal of thresholds. Like you have to consume it. But the best way I could describe modernism is that it was less about the result and it was more about how you arrived at the result.
Yes.
And I can equate
underline that. That is fucking beautiful.
A modern painter who says, well, you know what? I'm only going to paint in blue for 6 years and just see what that does to my psyche.
Like Rothko just doing red.
That's an avenue. So that's what that movement in food was like. Well, here's foam. We make it out of water first. What does it taste like? Well, what do you want it to taste like? I just invented a new way to transmit something edible. That was the point. And like modern art, modern food had to end. It had to die. There is a fizzle out of that because the techniques become so extrapolated on, well, here's the foam and what am I going to do next? Now I'm going to dehydrate it. Now I'm going to crush and it gets so far removed that it swings the other way. And it goes right back to, well, I'm from here. This is the land I am from. And we will only pick herbs and berries and roots and nuts from this land. And that's what goes on the plate. So it's interesting.
This is your day shucked English pea.
Exactly. With fermented elderflower and a sauce thickened with fucking venison blood and whatever that, and this moss.
I can see that dish right now. But again, like going back to this idea of expressing something that has not been done before, and you're right. Food is the last sort of part of culture, or one of the last parts of culture that usually gets this kind of movement. Here's where things have changed completely. Where it's still, the reason why it's not as clear as other parts of culture, right? Because if you talk to anybody in food and their complaints about it, it's very similar to the complaints of fashion editors and designers of, couture housing, fashion, and anybody that's in literature or magazines, anybody that's visual art. They're all like, what the fuck is happening? Where we're at a weird place, I don't want to say weird, I mean, it's hard to express, is because never has food been able to be communicated at mass, which it is now. And the very thing that made it not scalable, the ephemeral nature of food, the fact that 1 million people can't eat the same thing at once, is what makes it this cultural currency today, which has now accelerated this whole movement of the same.
Yeah. And consumption is a different concept now, because you can consume it or feel that you have completely via information, via witnessing it, versus
can you express that again? Witnessing? What are you talking about?
Meaning looking at things on Instagram is now very much a viable form of consumption.
Dude, that's good. That's got to be someone's dissertation. Seriously, that is like the most elegant way that's ever been stated.
People no longer feel like they have to take the pilgrimage to the place to experience it. They do not anymore. So in that way, again, information has become very fluid. Again, the dark side of that is that you don't know where things have originated from anymore. They don't know where, no one knows anything. That's what I mean, where it's chaos. There's no longer I understand reference points, and I can see something original and see where it comes from. Sometimes I think the people who are influenced, they don't even know where they're being influenced for anymore. They don't know the origin. To me, that's a negative. But the weird positive of it is that everything is in our hands now. We don't need the critic or the writer to write about us. We can, the same way that we can hone our craft and become better and better at cooking, we can also hone our craft and become better and better at communication. And that communication and that visual expression, you're serving people. You are serving them your food or your idea. And that's being accepted. They feel like they've consumed it.
That is really heavy to think about.
It's wild. It's wild. So then you can get pissed off about it, and you can go back to, well, I used to never put anything on social media, or you can harken back to the good old days where you could have a beautiful professional photograph of your dish taken and write this fucking diatribe underneath it about all the emotions that you're feeling and everything about it, and no one will look at it. No one will care. So it has to become spectacular. And look, I'm an introvert by nature, and I've learned I'm 45, so I know who I am now, and I've accepted it. Like, I'm an introvert. I'll run away. The only way that I can come out of my shell is to be a complete and utter smartass. That's the only way I can do it. I have to do it that way.
I'm not too dissimilar, my man.
I can't, because if I take it, it's so absurd. If I take it seriously, it'll be just too depressing. So I've made peace with it, where I'm like, well, I do feel like I'm known and respected by the people that I know and respect.
100%.
So if they're watching me, they know what I'm doing. They know what I'm doing. And the ones who don't know me and think I'm being serious, good. Mwah, perfect. That's the goal.
So let me ask you this question of street cred, right? That's what everybody wanted, street cred. I always use the barometer of a chef is really respected when people don't talk shit about this person or what they cook or what they do. I guess I certainly know that people talk shit about what I've done, the food I've made. I know people talk shit about your food, and there's like 2 or 3 people that have been like totally unblemished by that, because we've always wanted street cred.
Mm-hmm.
What was street cred back in the day?
I mean, street cred back in the day was you knew the chef, you knew what they were about, you knew their food, you went to their restaurant, you ate it often if it was in your city. If you were traveling to another city, you knew the people that you were going to go and have their food. You have to have their food every time you go. You were able to speak about someone else's food well, like they'd be happy to hear what you were saying because you understood the point of it. I think that was street cred.
I've been saying this for some time now, especially since the pandemic. Really, probably was a symptom before the pandemic. Clearly, I don't think it fucking matters at all anymore.
It doesn't. No, and by the way, not to sound sad, but did it matter back then?
Exactly.
I think we all sort of had our heads up our own asses.
100%.
I think we were all jerking each other off in a circle like that. That's how I feel about it. Was it really that important? And it was also very short-lived if you look at the time span of things.
It was a bubble.
Yeah. So if you think about the importance of food, well, how many people are we feeding and how big is the whole thing? Well, what we did was this little novelty bullshit gimmick, Tamagotchi, flash in the pan, nothing.
Which is why, again, I always harken back to the pandemic days, but when we're talking to all these senators and everything and all these independent restaurants trying to be like, we need fucking help. They're like, hold the fuck on. We need to, in level of importance, you guys are actually pretty far down.
We got to save Chili's and Applebee's before we save your piece of shit.
First, let's get the foodways where food is transported. Let's get the fucking farms. Let's get the processing facilities. Then let's get the hospitals and places where food needs to be served. And then the fast casual. And then we're at the bottom. And that's when I was like, wait a second.
You could see it in New York, which is my only reference point, really. This is my restaurant city. But the fancier or the nicer restaurants that got busy fastest as things were lifted were not creative restaurants. They were restaurants where just rich, that's just a normal meal for them. So, and I don't mean this as an insult, but there's restaurants on Central Park West that you and I will go for a very different reason than why all the customers go there. That's just chicken tenders for them.
It's just a canteen.
Yeah, that's just chicken tenders for them. They go there every Tuesday and they spend $400 and they drink this champagne and
not challenging.
No, it's so agreeable. It's so agreeable. That's why, as far as like the restaurants, those were the first ones that got busy.
What about the hypocrisy? That's still the food I want to eat these days as I'm older.
Sure.
Too, right?
Absolutely.
It would be my canteen.
Yeah. Yeah. Like people don't want to be challenged by food, like if you look at all the fine dining, the really fancy fine dining, Michelin World's 50 Best, all these ones, that the ones that are doing well, I see something very consistent. Again, because we were talking about how you used to have to spin the story. Now we're all burnt out on listening to stories. We don't want to read. We're looking at a picture. It has to be spectacular. And I mean, literally, visually, a spectacle. It does. We don't want the cerebral. I don't think El Bulli would work now because you had to stare at it and figure out what was going on. That you had to figure out what the magic trick was.
Well, one reason why it probably wouldn't is because people would complain online, be like, I don't get it. It doesn't taste that good.
Right.
I'm still hungry.
Yeah, no. Like taking a prawn and peeling all the shell off of it carefully to leave the legs attached and then dipping those legs in tempura batter and frying them while leaving the prawn perfectly raw and saying prawn, sashimi, and tempura. Well, that was art. That's art.
Having a giant goblet glass, they serve the gin and tonics in that area, San Sebastian, even though it was a giant goblet. And maybe it's in the last cookbook editions, but it was like the quail course. It was served where you might get a game and a degustation menu. And they basically it was just the broth. They basically took the whole quail or squab. It was squab. And it was just a clarification of pressed squab.
Mhm.
And it made it look like it was a whiskey or scotch in the glass. And then to enhance the smoky element, that peatiness, they just layered it with smoke. So it looked
like a snifter of scotch.
But it was your quail course. I could see somebody today being like, what's the big deal?
Well, again, they're like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Why?
Because you're just looking at...
Why can't I just get the quail?
We need it to be visual. Like, why on social media, if you show a pretty picture, no one cares anymore? But if you go, hey, look at me, and guess what I'm doing, and go fuck... Like, then it's all of a sudden people catch on.
So, street cred's not important.
It seems to be all about clout now.
What do you mean by that?
Just like, it's about your stats. Like, it's about your followers and your views and your, like, the term sellout is either non-existent or it's certainly no longer negative. It's actually a positive. Like, the harder you can sell out, the better now.
So, like, I think it was 10 years ago, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, I was having this conversation. At the time, I disagreed with him because he was like, what are you worried about? I was like, oh, I'm worried about, like, selling out. He's like, dude, like, to the younger generation, selling out is, like, sort of cool.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
No, it changed. Like, I remember the idea that if someone reached out to me and said, hey, will you use Hellman's mayonnaise on your Instagram account and we'll give you this much money to do it? And I would be like, absolutely not, or I never would. Like, I would be embarrassed. And now that's like a cool thing to do, and no one looks at it negatively.
I don't give a shit if I look like a NASCAR driver.
Remember back in the day, and this will like date me, but I remember how much shit Rick Bayless got for eating a Burger King burger on TV. They shredded him for that.
He was really good at never, like, talking about that too.
But
if it happened today, I think people would have gotten upset or not upset. What do you think?
That's my point. My point is back then he got shredded, and now that's fine. The chefs who are getting immediately and then more and more famous now, they're all over it.
Well, again, I think the difference is if it wasn't that for Rick Bayless, it was like, oh, he sold his CPG business to Frontier Grill. He's a sellout. I'm like, I've never thought that. I was like, fucking awesome. Happy for him. I'm close with the Carbone Major Food Group guys. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're everywhere. I was like, good. They should prove to people that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, we need to celebrate the people that are selling out.
Yeah. It's not negative anymore. And that's a generational shift. And it's not just in our world. Like, once upon a time, if you were a famous actor, the only way that you could make ad money, you'd have to go to Japan, because you could be in all the commercials in Japan and get paid and fly back, and no one in America was ever going to see you, and you're not going to piss off the Academy.
When I just call people selling out, I mean that as the positive, not because their integrity or anything's less. But this is the way I've always thought about selling out, at least for 20 plus years, and I don't think it's really changed. And did you ever watch that Metallica documentary with Jason Newsted talking about the Black Album and how pissed off everybody was?
I haven't caught that one
because Metallica's not hardcore enough for you.
They're not. Yeah.
They're like Britney Spears.
That's
to you.
That's not.
I know, but for most people, including myself, that was like a big transition.
That is not hard music.
And it was like Master Puppets, Ride the Lightning, whatever. But they hired this, Mutt Lange, this producer who was like Shania Twain's husband, and he did really poppy, like rock ballad albums. So clearly it was a different thing that they were trying to go for. And the Black Album, seminal album, it's fucking big. It probably gets overshadowed by Nevermind in 1991, 1990, but fucking great album. Changed how people looked at Metallica. And in the interview, they're like, yeah, people call us the sellouts. And yeah, we sell out. We sell at every fucking stadium we play at. And to me, that's what selling out is like people like your product and you make it so people will buy it and a lot of it.
I was at a Pantera concert where Phil got on stage and just started ripping into Metallica. Because after the Black Album, they went further. They started wearing nail polish and Urban Decay eyeshadow and see-through sheer t-shirts where you can see their friggin' nipple rings and stuff. And Phil was calling them sellouts, and it had nothing to do with selling out a stadium. More was like, I think his point was like, you're manipulating your music to stay relevant. You're manipulating your visual style to stay relevant. And that's not metal. Metal is supposed to not give a fuck. It's just not.
But merging a bunch of fucking analogies and metaphors, I think selling out is, to me, I've described it, or besides the cultural status, it's like, yeah, we're going to do something that might seem commercialized, right? And however you want to do it, you can do that. But in 2025, I don't think anybody, at least our peer group, go get that money back. That's what I think people say all the time.
And I'm in now. I'm late to the party, but now I'm in. And like,
I got some room in my backseat of my car, buddy.
Yeah, like no, like count me in. And like I said, I found my peace with it now. Where like I'm like, oh, I can perhaps infiltrate this system and say what I want to say, and you don't know if I'm serious or not. The people that I truly respect will know what I'm doing. So put me in there.
I too have signed up for one of these things.
Yeah.
That I probably would never have said yes to before.
Yeah. Again, I just did something.
I think we're doing the same thing.
Maybe. Yeah. No. I'm literally coming to you here from a red eye from LA, and the last cooking competition show I was on was Iron Chef in 2007, and I just did one. And the reason I said yes to it is because it's like, do you want to be on TV or not? Because if you do, the only cooking shows left are these competition shows.
Oh, we do live cooking, dude. You come on our show.
I would love to. I did it, and I did extremely well. I didn't do as well as I really, really wanted to, but I did well. But really, the whole thing, whether you won the whole thing or not, I did get to inject my message into that. And I have media training.
I'm sure you made the producer so happy.
Yeah. Look, I cried for them. I acted. I bled for them. Every time the producer was coming to my station and I'm too busy, I'm like, no, right friggin' here. Bring it in. Let's see what I'm talking about. Look at me.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm in now.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do live cooking things. That's a perfect example of like this postmodern. God, we got to come up with a better acronym because I sound like such a jackass. But we're not doing really anything new. But there has to be a level of difficulty, that regular influencer can't do, or you're going back to your culinary videos that you're doing right now. These very educational yet extremely ironic videos. When you put that into the context of a lot of culinary TikTok, Instagram Reels videos, where you have line cooks headed to work talking about their day, or now they're not even a line cook anymore, but they're at home making a dish and explaining the techniques behind that. And it's extremely informative for somebody that's not a cook. That information that was hard fought for many years is now freely available.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to last forever.
You don't think so?
No.
What do you think is going to happen?
That's what I'm trying to ask, is like, what, at some point, right, it sort of eats itself, right? It can't continue because for the same reason, right? We wanted street cred. We wanted to fight for this culinary technique so much. And then we don't care about it as much because it becomes democratized. It becomes sort of the mean. I think, in my opinion, all of these ideas that you see on YouTube, because the content creators are fucking amazing. And the really good ones, and I've talked about this a couple podcasts ago, were the chefs that were just good enough, but maybe not enough to be the very best, but really good cooks. But they also were telegenic, photogenic.
Better at something else.
Better at that. And they merge that together. Not a surprise that they're very good. They could have been very good cooks. Well, like I always say, like the one reason why, if I was better at French cooking, I would never have done momofuku. You know what I mean? Like you're lucky to find your avenues, but at some point, all of that information, especially with AI, is going to become like free and like everywhere.
So what we're talking about here, to sum it up, is that you and I both are in full agreement that we are on the cusp of dystopia. We're just trying to figure out what that dystopia is and how we fit into it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to say this is a bad thing. And I genuinely think you're feeling that too, because, when we're on camera, I know like if we were working together on like if we were partners at a station, at an old school restaurant, this is what we used to say in the mornings. Like, how's your level of depression? Just to get a gauge of, like,
how's it going to go today?
Yeah, like, don't let me near the bathtub. That's like how we would used to talk.
Mhm.
Sounds morbid, I know, please. But I know I could talk to you this way. And we usually will make fun of how terrible everything is and how depressing everything is. I am not depressed about what you claim as dystopia right now. I am looking at something that's just totally mysterious to me.
By the way, I'm not depressed about it either. I think,
But that's what I mean. It's like, I think it's optimism.
No,
to
I
some
think,
degree.
like, look, I consider you an extremely intelligent person. I think your antenna have always been up, so, and smart people know what they can and cannot change. And if you cannot change something, you cannot control it. You have to see, it's like a Venn diagram. Then you have to find the little spot where you belong in it. That's the intelligent thing to do.
And I'm just trying to figure out, with all that being said, and I'm working this out real time in front of this audience that's listening or watching. It's like, it doesn't matter if normally I would have saved these thoughts for myself, but I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. And it's better to talk it out loud, because who cares about who originated anything anyway?
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
Because what I do know, and the only thing that matters now, at the end of the day, is execution of idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
How does it land?
So, which is why, full stop, going back, it's going to have to come back in a weird way that I wasn't anticipating, to technique, to craftsmanship, to knowledge, because you can't fake it. For the same reason we're doing this live show, and a lot of people are like, I don't see why you do it. It doesn't look hard. I was like, well, I know it's probably one of the hardest things you could possibly do in food. I will stand by that fucking statement.
Sure.
Right? That can't be done unless you actually have a skill set. And I think it's got to swing back around to developing skill sets. And I'm optimistic about that. It's the first time I've been optimistic about food in a long time, which is why I think if someone's doing a buffet, right? I would love to do a buffet. I've been saying this forever. It's not ironic, because I'm not making an ironic meatloaf. I'm not going to make an ironic Salisbury steak. I just want to make it fucking good. No bullshit. It's now back to like the 1950s, 1945, post-World War II era.
I'm into that too. I wanted to do that at Misha, and I still want to do that in an American restaurant, where like you write a list of dishes that you never actually had opportunity to cook professionally, and give yourself the chance. Like, what are your opinions on meatloaf? What are your opinions on Salisbury steak? What are your opinions on shepherd's pie? So you're trying to create a container. I think of restaurants often as a container. Like, you have ideas, where are you going to put them? Where you can transmit them to people. So that's what it sounds like you're doing. You're building a container where you can work through those things. You've never worked in a restaurant under a chef who's taught you how to make the best Salisbury steak ever.
No,
now you have to do that.
Just simple things. And that's why I don't know if it's going to happen. My spidey sense tells me we're headed to this direction, right? And it's moving past nostalgia, so far past that we're going to start back at fucking ground zero. It'll be modernized, right? Again, a couple podcasts ago, I was saying that these Gen Z kids are now highly into collecting albums again, but not to look cool, but to have a point of view. But they're also not just collecting albums; they're collecting, ephemeral things from the 90s, like MP3 players and laser discs. I was like, again, when something else is happening in culture that's a little bit weird and different, definitely going to happen.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So they're collecting MP3 players, and they're pirating music all over again, because they're like, sorry, Spotify. They're like, we don't want to support Spotify. We don't want to support Apple. We're going to do it completely offline and carve out our narrative. So the narrative is going to come back to something that is like very personalized. And I'm just like, whoever can match that up is going to win.
It sounds like the equivalent of like investors not knowing what to do anymore because nothing else is real. So people are buying gold bars.
Shit like that. Oh, because that's they're
buying gold bars because they don't know what is Bitcoin a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like
and again, instead of looking at this return to nostalgia, like steakhouses are the rage. French food will never be popular, so I don't know why people are fucking saying that it's going to come back with a vengeance. It is. Riyadh and Lee are doing awesome work, but it's also because they're awesome. It's not because of the food. Food's French, of Frenchette fame and a bunch of other restaurants that are kicking ass. But in New York City, this return towards comfort and, as you described, this glowing environment in a restaurant. One view could be exactly what you're saying, that it's taking not the lowest common denominator, but it's taking denominators that work, and that proved to be a profitable restaurant. I think that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it potentially is it's the first wave of reverting all the way back to the beginning. You know, it's that it's just going to keep on moving backwards.
So it's cyclical.
Yeah.
And we're at the restart we're at the almost the complete restart of the cycle.
Yeah, I love comic books. It's what happens in comic books when the narrative gets too fucking confusing. They just retcon the whole thing and they start all over again. Yet the audience, the reader of the comic book, knows. Think about this. For those that watch Batman, I don't want to go down comic book rabbit hole of all the different versions. But since I've been alive, there's been Michael Keaton, there's been Clooney, there's been Val Kilmer, there's been Ben Affleck, and Christian Bale. That's like 30 years of Batmans, all telling the same story. Yet, if there's a new Batman with and Robert Pattinson, that's 6. Yep. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to suspend disbelief that even though I know all those Batmans happened, I'm going to suspend belief because this one is going to be new, but it's based on old. And they could do it all the way back to an origin story. You'd watch it. I'd watch it.
So there's only so many good stories out there.
Boom.
And then to that point, there's actually only so many dishes out there that people actually truly want to eat over and over and over again. There's only so many. It's finite.
Yeah. And there's never really been anything other than the metaphor, like the catch-all, like steak and potatoes type of thing. So it's comfort food.
Yeah. Not just comforting, is it useful?
Yeah. And when we were pursuing all this bullshit, we were the outlier. And we were in an environment that was a bubble that we were not allowed to see where things were going. So it was like, I'm actually now looking backwards like, oh, we were dead wrong about everything.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like, I think we discussed this, but I think it was very creatively self-indulgent. It was very insulated. It was a clique. It was a community. It was the same people. Like
Corner Bistro, example. What's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with it. People fucking love it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, they're doing it right. They're giving what people want in a place that they feel good and they feel sexy, they feel needed. So I think that's really actually everything that we were saying originally about that it feels that it's like painted by numbers to some degree. I don't believe that anymore. Yes, on one hand I do, because we're making a restaurant in Los Angeles. We're going to have a lot of classic comforty things because we know it's what people want. But at the same time, I think the entire the tide that is rising is something else altogether. And a lot of that has to do with these narratives, this rise in technology, process of information, where, when it's all said and done, there's a finite number of things that people want, and it's going to go back to who does it first. As case in point, look at pizza. I think Chris Bianco, longtime friend, one of my closest friends, he doesn't even get the credit he deserves for being literally the GOAT of modern pizza in America. The reason why people use good ingredients, have terroir associated to their pizza and flour and all that shit is he was responsible for a lot of it. People don't know that. So now people are, or you see this with bread makers today, like Chad Robinson. Like that book is widely copied by people. And now the people that have worked for those people that were influenced by the book don't even know that it was started with Chad and a lot of those techniques from old. So if you look at bread, or let's just stick to pizza, we can agree that let's just focus on New York City. Pizza's fucking better than it's ever been in this town. As a variable to study, right? Would you disagree with that?
No.
It's outrageously good.
People are lining up for it.
To the point where no one's lining up for 99-cent pizza anymore.
No.
And even the regular slice, I just had this place called Spot On in Midtown, because I like going to these places, not because they are always delicious, but I always like to see, like, are they elevating their game?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They are elevating their game. It's better than it was. And over the years, right, whether it's, you've had Spumoni Gardens, you've had Patsy's, you've had all of these classic pizzerias in New York where people will argue like to the fucking death about who's best. Lucali's, God bless, amazing. That's led towards next stage was Neapolitan pies. You got Uno Pizza coming in. You got all of the copycat Neapolitan pies. Then my big mouth starts talking about Japanese pizza as sort of like a joke almost. Now you have Japanese pizzas coming in, like another version of Neapolitan pizzeria.
Mm-hmm.
You've had every variation of a Sicilian Detroit style pizza, like everywhere. It's so good now to the point where you can like buy the products from like Cisco and make a really good one in any kitchen. So overall pizza is so good. And then the last sort of bit that was like, I don't think you can go further, right? I feel like pizza now has reached a point where craft is at the highest is when Scars opened up. And he's like, wait, I've talked to him. He's like, I'm influenced by Chad Robinson's book. I'm influenced by Chris Bianco. You know what? Same thing I had when I opened a movie. He goes, wait, why is the price point like this? And why aren't we using really good ingredients for like a $30 price point? It's like, why aren't we using really good flour, hydration, all fermentation, all the stuff that you would do for a proper Neapolitan style pizzeria? Let's apply it to the slice shop.
Mm-hmm.
What a surprise. Fucking crushes.
That's an innovation.
Innovation. And then you've now seen series and all these other things. Apollonia. There's all these pizzas. Eating pizza, not just in New York, around the country. It's fucking amazing right now. We're in the best time ever to eat pizza. I really believe that. Now, as a case study, this is how I think, which is now I'm sharing to the fucking world, my weird way of thinking. What's next for pizza? And if we can answer that, then it gives us some data as to what might be happening elsewhere. So what's next for pizza?
Yeah, I don't know. Will it force like chain delivery to change its game, to up its game?
Maybe. There's only so many avenues, right?
I know it's unpopular to say you like Domino's, but I have no problem with Domino's.
People get so mad when I say
I think it's good.
Talk about sandbag masters.
Yeah, geniuses.
They sandbag their salad. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, bro. It's the coolest thing ever. Because when we filmed there, I got complete access. They have salads because they have enough data to suggest that like 1 out of 25 people want a salad from Domino's.
But what you're talking about, it sounds positive because if what it does is force everyone to raise their game, not just people who are shelling out a lot of money in a fancy restaurant, like if it's touching everyone, every demographic, multiple price points, and it has to be better because now that's what people are expecting. Well, that's positive because that changes how kitchens are run. You know what I mean? That's all toward something better. The question is
if this happens, no guarantee, what's the time frame for this? And It's not going to happen overnight. This might be like a 50-year process. And I think now because we're a more culinary literate culture, we're still probably, I don't know how many years, maybe even 100 years behind the fluency of food that the Japanese are in or other parts of the world. But we're getting there as a culture. And if you look, and I'll never forget the conversation I had with Murata-san at Kikunoi when I wasn't complaining, but I was poking and prodding. I was like, why is it so slow? Why aren't you doing this? Because remember Seiji Yamamoto got 3 stars and he was pushing the envelope of what kaiseki cuisine could be? I thought it was fucking rad. But it was like, slow your roll. The old guard was like, slow your motherfucking roll. It took me, I was a little angry about that because I love Seiji. But it was more like, we are working on this together and we're here because of the past. We're all for the change, but let's do it in a measured approach. And I remember Murata-san saying, you guys don't get it. We've changed more than any food culture could ever change. It just has happened over, 2,000 years.
Right.
You guys have only been doing this.
America's a very young country.
So basically, shut the fuck up. And I was like, yeah. And when you're in Japan, everybody knows so much about cuisine. They know, hey, I'm going to eat this fish because it's been feeding on these kinds of fucking krill and plankton and stuff.
Yeah, Japan and Spain are very similar where they are true cultures of Uber product. Everything is amazing. A grape is amazing. A slice of ham is amazing, right? I haven't been to Japan yet. I'd love to go. But every time I hear about it, it's like you can have just as much of a culinary experience in a friggin' like the equivalent of a 7-Eleven there, as you can in a
100%.
in the highest end restaurant there.
And guess what? We've seen this now as, again, over, I don't know, 7 years of doing this fucking podcast. You know, deliciousness is a meme, and it's going to want to improve and survive in any form possible. And because it's like this cultural asset, in my belief, that in order to survive, it has to fucking remain by being delicious.
Yeah.
And you've seen the slow progression of food becoming better in every facet of America, right? Airports, it's getting pretty good, really good.
So this is awesome because we're kind of unifying a lot of things, and I think it's right because we were talking about chicken nuggets, we're talking about pizza right now. Like I think that ubiquity is the future. That's what we're saying. Like that might be the whole thesis of this conversation. Like ubiquity is the future.
Yeah, and we were the aberration in the meaningless way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't everyone else that was seeing it wrong. I think we were seeing it wrong, right? When we were talking to London, bitching and moaning about everything, I was like, oh yeah, because we're not seeing other perspectives. We think we're being empathetic. We think that we're seeing every perspective, but we actually were just seeing a very narrow way of looking at the
So
food
what
world.
you're talking about, I remember, you know, whether there was like going to cook it raw. I don't want to talk too much inside baseball. I think there were some useful things that were developed, and those are sticking around. But most of it,
But they're sticking around without meat on the bone.
right?
Doesn't have the same resonance. I couldn't be happy for everyone that gets 3 Michelin stars or top #1. I love the Out of Mix team. God bless. That's fucking a lot of work. What I'm a little upset about is it doesn't have the meaning it used to. Right? Like, I want them to get the recognition globally and they are, but anybody, including, I haven't talked to them about it, Ellie and the team there, but I'm a little bummed that they should be talked about on a global scale for reaching #1 in the world. But people now are sort of tuned out by it to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, that's a fucking amazing accomplishment. They should be feted. And all you have to do is look around the blogs and Grub Street or Eater. Before 10 years ago, that was like front page all day for like 2 weeks straight. It's a little blip now.
Yeah.
And you could say that same way about Food and Wine magazine. I talked about it in the pod, or any award.
Now we're getting into something interesting too that I was hoping we were going to talk about. We're getting back to so back in the day, if you did X, Y, and Z in New York City, and I'm sure there's equivalent in other major cities, if you did X, Y, and Z, your restaurant would be busy.
Mm-hmm.
And now that is not the friggin' case anymore.
Zero.
It is not the
correlation.
Case. No, I was obsessed when I opened Misha. I was obsessed with Pete Wells and the traditional path, and I was going to get it right, and I'm going to get the glowing review, and that's going to sort this, and it doesn't. And then I felt it again. This seafood restaurant I did in a hotel, The Otter. Again, it's like, got the awesome New York Mag review, got the awesome New Yorker review. It doesn't do it for you anymore. People don't come running.
You still need it and you still want it, right?
But you still do, but it doesn't. That is no longer. You should do it. You should care about that. But it is not a play to make your restaurant busy. That's interesting because it in two ways. One, it makes me happy. Well, because then, no offense, but fuck the writer. They don't have the power anymore to make you or break you. They do not. And they have to deal with that. They have to deal with, if you talk to these writers and you're friendly with any of them, they're happy to still be employed. They are. But then what's scary about that is that there really is no rhyme or reason.
We need gatekeepers.
There's no game plan anymore.
We do need gatekeepers.
There's no game plan. Like in terms of like, well, if I do these things correctly, I will have notoriety. My restaurant will be busy. That doesn't work anymore.
But part of this, and I've spent way too much time thinking about this from the Food and Wine perspective, or even San Pellegrino #1. I say this because I've been really close to everybody for the past 20 years that has reached #1. Like very close with the teams and the chefs and the front of the house teams. And like, it's not that it's not as important. It's not, because that's why you can have multiple views about it. It's just that there's more shit out there that takes away concentration from people. So that's where I'm always wrestling with myself. Is it because it's not getting the recognition? Because it is, but attention is diverted elsewhere now. And I think that is also the case. But, you know, going back to pizza, I know we're jumping around all over the place, but I do think there's a thread if you're listening or watching.
Yeah,
that
that's
should
what I'm
make
trying
sense.
to get at. We are sort of weirdly talking about one unified thought.
theory. And if you're just focusing on pizza, it's like, okay, widely loved, or chicken nuggets or hamburger. It's like, you might see a birria pizza. It might even exist, right? You're going to see every version of gluten-free pizza. Gluten-free pizza is really good. Like, it's pretty fucking good today, which is basically just rice pizza, crust pizza, but people don't know that, whatever. It doesn't matter. And that's the thing. I had Goop pizza in LA from Gwyneth, delivered, and it was like gluten-free pizza. I tasted it. Part of me was like immediately like, I'm probably not going to like it because I was thinking about how they made the dough. And then I was like, just shut the fuck up. It's actually really good. Who cares? Just tune your stupid shit out, Dave. Be present, enjoy this. And don't spoil it for anybody else that's eating it too, because they like it. And I'm like, yeah, I should just shut the fuck up, eat it. But it's also just an indicator of like, wow, even alternative pizza is good. And if I keep on thinking about where pizza's going, well, the next thing is frozen pizza. It's probably going to get better. Delivered pizza's somebody might reinvent it, or one of the big guns, the Domino's, the Papa John's of the world. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, but what I do know is this. I cannot predict the future on pizza, but I think that there's no more iterations for pizza to go.
Right.
That's what I wanted to say.
And again, what I'm hearing, there is no more high and low. You can't think of high and low. You can only think of good and bad.
And that's when, again, Wylie did caviar and fried chicken.
Yep.
I asked for permission, help popularize it. Now it's fucking everywhere. No one even gives it. It drives me a little bit crazy when I'm like, you're just copying them. I was like, no,
but we've burnt out that like we have completely fizzled the fuck out on shit you can put caviar on. Caviar has become a goddamn cliche because of that. But it's from Wylie's innovation, right? I'm going to put this thing on this thing, and it's going to be amazing.
I saw that. I saw the holy fuck high-low juxtaposition, and that it sort of made sense.
We did that dinner together. I remember that. And it was in Wylie's honor at his restaurant. And you saved me. I didn't know what I was getting into because you were really in that community. He's like, look, it's going to be a shit show. All these chefs are going to take an hour to make their goddamn dish. You said, help me make the first friggin' dish, and we're going to get in and get out. And we made a bucket of fried chicken with caviar. And that was the only time that dining room went fucking silent. That was the best dish.
Because it was like a fuck you, too. It's high-low. It's bucket of fried chicken.
And every other dish from every other famous chef that came with a metaphor and an analogy and an allegory and a backstory fell second to that dish. The dining room, you said this once in an interview, like your goal, like make the food so good that people stop talking. And that happened at that dinner. The room went silent.
And it was just inspiration from WD, right? And again, like, my version was postmodern of his modernist take.
No, you did the actual bucket of fried chicken with the actual tin of caviar and said, have fucking fun, guys.
We put Wylie's name on, face on it, but...
that was good.
And anyway, going back to pizza, there's no more versions of putting Wagyu, uni, and caviar. You can't. I mean, yes, you will. But I think that we're coming to a point where you can't just tell a narrative anymore that is like Pulp Fiction with different time frames starting weave together. I just saw Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. It's fucking amazing, right? And like, it's almost like we're headed to that movie. And I can't recommend watching that movie enough, but I was like watching, I was like, man, I feel like food is headed here. I'm not exactly sure. It's murky, but it feels like that. What I was watching, I was like, man, this feels like the food universe right now. Really esoteric thing I just said, probably hard to understand, but if you watch it, maybe I hope that you get the analogy here. But I go back to pizza. I'm like, yeah, there are going to be different things to do with pizza, and I don't want to say the innovation's dead. But like, what is the next iteration of pizza that is like, what? You could do that. Did you think of anything? And I don't need an AI chatbot to tell me or to look in the future. There's physically almost everything that's been done with pizza has been done. What can you do?
Yeah, so then it's not about that. It's about making it as good as possible in every rung in the ladder. And that becomes the expectation. Back to you speaking about Japan, because sounds like that's where they're at.
What do you think about this? We have a variety of paths as a food culture to get there. One of which is clearly Japan. That would be sick, but also maybe not, because there's zero variation. There is zero individuality, really. It's ultimately why ramen became so popular. Mm-hmm. It was the bottom of the barrel in terms of the hierarchy of food, because a lot of Japan is a caste system, whether they realize it or not. And it was the one place in food you could express yourself. And it's why it took off as much as it did. I'm sorry, I did see this, which is why I wanted to do ramen, because I was like, something's fucking weird going on here. Definitely going to happen in America, and it did. And you see this in ramen too in Japan. It's come full circle again, where a lot of the, not all of it, but a lot of the contemporary ramen is the old school Chinese influence stuff that like, you might have seen in Tempopo. It's like clean, it's simple, but it's not. It looks simple. It has really good ingredients now. So it's like the ramen of 40 years ago, but made with the fucking most baller ingredients.
Right.
So it's not the same. It's on a different plane. It's like back at the same coordinates, but like on a different dimension, mirroring exactly what it was. And I'm thinking that's where we're at with food. You're seeing that with Leah and Riyadh, the second mention of the today, with their what's the name of the restaurant? Le Cote Vore? Le Veau d'Or. That was like a 80-year-old institution in New York City. They didn't really reinvent anything. It's like the same menu.
Yeah.
But done with better technique, better ingredients, modern organization. Mm-hmm. Not a surprise that people fucking love it. Is it nostalgia? No.
No, I think they're serving that marketplace very well.
Yeah.
And they're serving them the food that marketplace wants.
It's continuity. That's different. You know what I mean? And I think that's fucking cool. I think that's what we need. And I wonder if that's going to percolate through the rest of food.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, that like my plan back to, I still want this American restaurant, and I know how I'll do it differently this time than Misha, but that's sort of the point. Like, it's no longer about giving someone something they've never seen before. It's actually giving them something they've seen before, done extremely well.
You know, we'll end this on this because, man, I hope that people don't pull quote this. I'm always afraid now of critics because this is always just a working theory, working things out here. But I want to finish on this because I think it's sort of appropriate. We're going to end on pizza. It's like one of the American Prometheus of food is Wylie Dufresne. He took the fire from Europe, brought it here, and the critics just fucking ate his heart out.
He never got credit for his greatest innovation and the most impactful thing he did, which was the idea, and he explained it to me when he hired me, and it made so much damn sense, and I don't think I've heard it talked about in relation to him because he invented this. You know, he said, like, look, he's like, when I go to Midtown to this fancy restaurant, I'm going for the food. I don't want to get dressed up. I don't want to be in that room. I don't want to be around those people. And he had the first restaurant ever where a cook could go to the bar and have a cocktail and an app or a dessert and come away with an experience and an idea. He made it casual. Like, again, it was a very fine restaurant, but the idea of like, there's no tablecloths and we're not going to reset you every damn time. And the
you're not going to get a salad. You're not going to get a bread course.
And the bartender, someone you would want to hang out with outside of the restaurant. I think he invented that. What with all this high-minded stuff. He invented that.
And I think I ate at the bar more than anybody else. In
right, you were a regular.
Yeah.
You had all my desserts.
Everything. I loved every iteration of that restaurant. Even the dishes that I hated. And I would tell Wylie this because I was the only person that would tell him to his face, I don't like this fucking thing. And guess what I would get? For the next 15 fucking meals, the dish that I told him I didn't like.
Right.
He didn't care. And I wanted that challenge.
But any goddamn restaurant right now in Nashville or Charleston or that's doing cool food and the chefs are wearing t-shirts and an apron and it's got a point of view and they're like, and now they're lining up for it in these sub markets. It's not New York. It's not LA. It's these places. That came from him. That all came from, he made that possible.
I mean, you helped also with the plating that you design with food, which is not a technique, but an aesthetic that again, you don't get credit for.
And it's very copied.
Very copied. And I can say that definitively. I don't need fucking anybody to go, oh no, this chef. No. This motherfucker right here invented an aesthetic of plating dessert that is the most copied plating of dessert today in not even ambitious restaurants.
So in that way, it was useful.
Yeah.
I invented something useful, so hence it's been copied.
And I think for all of Wylie's accomplishments to the canon of cuisine, he I think invented modern day plating.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that went back to Europe. Around the world, his plating of what he did at WD-50, whether it was the foie gras with beet jelly or whatever, it was whimsical, but also how he plated with even the swoosh or whatever. That had not been done.
No, I think he was the first to really embrace the idea of austerity as a visual. 100%.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Wylie. Hello, Wylie.
What's up, Wylie?
It's because he's now a pizza man himself.
Yeah, and he, I learned a little bit of how it, look, he takes the temperature of the room, the temperature of the flour, the temperature of the water, talking to me about diastatic malt and all these different things. Any subject he goes on, he goes deep.
And he's applying all he's learned, because his sauce isn't your normal pizza sauce. And a lot of the juxtaposition of the ingredients he's doing might look normal, but below the surface, there's still Wylieisms going on.
He's innovating. I mean, I don't know much about the pizza game, but he's putting pizza sauces on with squeeze bottles, and I've never heard of that.
And here's where we're at. He's taken all that he's learned, which is fucking several lifetimes worth of ideas, hard-earned knowledge, and he's applying it to pizza, and it looks like a normal pizza.
Yep.
And he's serving people that want pizza.
So there you go. Infiltrate the mainstream. Infiltrate ubiquity. Put yourself in it. Yeah.
But it's not challenging.
No.
I mean, he is still trying. I know it. There's always going to be a Wylie pizza there.
Sure.
Someone was like, why is the egg yolk jammy? It's like, well, this is how he likes it. Still put your fingerprints on it. But I think more than anything, maturity is, as we get older, you're 45, I'm 48. Wylie's what, 50-something, early 50s?
Mm-hmm.
Maturity is us just sort of being like, actually, we don't have to go against the grain on everything.
Yeah, that's it. You said it before me. You get smarter in that you're not going to swim against the current anymore. You're going to swim with it and use its energy to help you.
There's maybe a more effective way of doing it. And I think that's, I see what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to test this out. I'm going to test it out again. I'm going to give it another shot. I'm going to give it another shot. Because here's the one thing I do know. You're one of the most tenacious motherfuckers to ever enter this business. And you have an analytical mind and you're going to break this motherfucker down. And if anyone's going to unlock it, I think you're going to figure it out. And it may not be chicken fingers. It may not be a chicken nugget. It could be like a hot dog shop all over again. Who the fuck knows? Which is why I'm not worried about any of the inventions or creative things that you've done in the past, because it's going to show up again somehow, some way. Just maybe in a way you didn't expect.
Yeah, no, I'm working on it. If I have something in my head, I don't let it go. Getting Empellón done was insane, because how do you, never working as an executive chef in a restaurant ever, you only have ever been a pastry chef, how the hell do you do that and raise money in New York City during an economic crisis? 2008, I started working on it. And I am serving tacos in a restaurant that should have been an American brasserie from Danny Meyer or Jean-Georges 1,000 times over. And there it is. It's the size of a goddamn Apple store, and it's hiding in plain view. So it's done. It's done. Not to say I'm not going to do more with Empellón, but okay, so what next? And with Misha, I feel like maybe I, as a creative person, tried to put too many different things on the menu. I'm down to I've distilled it down to two things. It's the diner. It's the diner, or it's the Irish pub. It's ubiquity plus heritage. The heritage is on the chalkboard that no one orders from, but that's where that immigrant is putting themselves out there. You can tell when you go to the diner where that immigrant was from, whether it's a Greek diner or an Egyptian diner. It's on the chalkboard. It's on the dry erase board. The menu, however, you can order off of without looking at it. I'll have the tuna melt. And it's going to be on that menu. That's the ubiquity part.
The one thing I would suggest, and I've been wrestling with, is whatever this reversion back to, more comforting foods that are simple. And again, next thing you know, you guarantee all these critics are going to fucking start bitching about everything's comfort food.
Right.
Just like they were bitching when every chef wanted to do a QSR concept. I was like, well, it's an opportunity to have a better life that's more simple. And you talk about work-life balance, like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
like,
fuck the critic.
But like, again, I can already see this year, it's like, everything's comfort food. I was like, well, guess what? We're not going against the grain anymore. You guys had your fucking opportunity to support the new. You guys didn't. And this is where we're at right now. Like, what it was, Misha or anything else that you're working on. Like, I don't know if it can't be challenging. And even though, like, you did the hot dog, right? And it wasn't challenging. I think you got to enrobe it, encapsulate it in, like, candy shell still, right? Like, how it's delivered, how it's photo. I don't know, but the chef no longer has to have the story. The hot dog needs to have the story.
That story didn't get told. I thought that the thing that I was trying to blow everyone's mind with was our burger, because it was a veggie burger, and it was a very innovative veggie burger. So I started with that challenge. I'm like, you're opening an American restaurant. What is the most American food that you have to have on the menu? And the answer is a burger. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to piss everyone off where the only burger on the menu is going to be a veggie burger. And it was a very innovative one, but no one noticed that.
And only innovative to you. Really? I mean, yes, innovative, but now we're here. This is a street cred. It doesn't matter to anybody.
No one noticed that we took mushrooms and bound it with methyl cellulose and came up with the vegetarian version of marbling. No one noticed any of that stuff. They noticed the hot dog, but the hot dog there was for a different reason. It was there innovative in a different way. Well, if the only burger is a veggie burger, you haven't addressed as an American restaurant the most American ingredient, ground beef.
Listen, in another universe, if you weren't the introvert that you are, right? And you found a way to, again, enrobe this concept of a hot dog with a story, right? It's like, oh, my ancestors did this, and we made the bun, and I've worked 20 years making this bun, and I have this synthetic casing, whatever it is, right? That's the candy shell that I think needs to happen almost on anything now. It's not the story of the chef or the restaurant. It's these single item things that are like more than meets the eye almost, but like I almost feel like if you told a different narrative on that from the get-go, rather than letting consumers, Yelpers, and critics tell the narrative, that's where maybe we're just talking about, like, if you're going to do it, you have to tell the narrative first.
There you go. And then make that, I would only do Misha again. I'll do an American restaurant. I will not call it Misha. I'll do Misha again if we only sell that hot dog. that would have to be the point. It would have to be like the French dip at Salt Hanks. We make one thing, we make it well, which, by the way, I think you and I share a similar goal. Like, the greatest restaurant you could ever do is one that only sells one damn thing, like In-N-Out.
Yeah.
I think In-N-Out's the best restaurant. And whether you like their burger or like their fries, or I don't care about any of that shit.
Right.
I care about the fact that they didn't do what McDonald's did. We're not going to start serving breakfast. There's no goddamn salads. We don't have chicken on the menu. We make we make two things. You want fries or burgers or fries. The end.
Do you ever hear my theory on why their French fries are so bad?
Well, I did, and you said this term, and I've absorbed this. I never heard the term performative freshness. And I heard you say that first, and I was like, that's good. That's what they're doing. They're not the best fries. They are showing to you in an open kitchen that they're cutting fresh potatoes.
It's the narrative that we're talking about.
Yeah. Fries that have been frozen and processed and sprayed in fucking starch slurries are infinitely better.
Not even a question.
Always better.
Just the science will prove it.
You're an idiot if you make your own fries. I don't care.
You're a flat earther if you say otherwise. That's how I view it.
Yeah, dude. Do not climb that mountain. They're doing it. They're not the best fries.
I think there's marketing behind it because it's like when you have a group of friends, and whether it's a guy or a girl that's really attractive, It's better if they hang out with people that are not as attractive because they look way more attractive.
There you go.
And the burgers look way more attractive to the consumer than those fucking shitty French fries. I think it's all intentional.
My wife loves those fries so much, and I'm like, these are the worst fries ever.
Yeah, man. Like I know that you're going to figure it out. I wanted to have this sort of rambling conversation because if it's rambling, it's like we're still trying to figure this out. Like nobody else that I know is talking about this publicly.
This is where I'm at. We're trying to find the next step. I think we're onto it
somewhere. That's why
I think we're close.
Anyway, what else you got going on before we get you out of here?
That's about it. Like, look, it's like after COVID, I opened 2 restaurants. I went from 3 to 5. And then I went from 5 to 3, and there were a lot of hard lessons there. I don't know that maybe it's a feedback loop. Maybe it's cosmic and it happened for a reason. I don't know that I want a big restaurant group with a lot of people involved. I think I've had some visual what that really means now to have all those people on laptops in your dining room and the director of this and the VP of that.
You're growing just to pay for the staff.
Exactly. It becomes a hamster wheel, and I think it's dilution. It's human dilution.
That's a whole nother topic in and of itself, right?
Sure.
These restaurant groups.
So I've distilled the pain that I've gone through has given me filters that I now have in the forefront of my brain that can inform me as to what I'm going to do and not do. I do want to get in front of more people. I do think I can be entertaining, and I've gotten that bug, and I want to, extrapolate on that in this modern era that we're in.
I think you have a real media future in being the snarky, sarcastic version of you.
Look, that's why I just went on the show. Whether I win or lose, I wanted to get in front of the people that are making these things. You have to.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, just talking about this, it's like, when it's weird is I don't love WWE. I mean, do a lot of stuff with Netflix. I can't get into it because I see that it's fake. It's weird that the fans know that it's fake, yet they think that it's real. It's
right.
Everything we're talking about right now. It's like
a religion.
Multiple fucking versions, but you can suspend reality. In a lot of ways, sort of what we're trying to, I feel like, get closer to discussing is the WWE commodification of food, where we have to give a performative version of ourselves to sell anything.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's like I thought about it in a dark way. Like everyone is terrified of AI. And, it's like if you really took it to a dark place, it's like, well, what would you do? And it's like, well, you might as well figure out how to be a gladiator in a ring because you still have arms and legs and you can still move around. And
what do you think? One more thing about this, and this might end it on a properly depressing note, as it should. AI and food. Lot to be said. I actually don't think that it's changed that much because people have been using some kind of AI chatbot without ever having an AI chatbot.
Sure.
It's just let's just merge a bunch of shit together that is most popular.
At this point, it's like a more dynamic version of Google. That's what it is right now.
But as robots come in, and I know we did this Hulu show, and we're talking about robotic hands, and they were like, no, it's 50 years away, if that. And now, talk to experts, like maybe 15 years.
Yeah.
Because AI is going to actually help with the
Figure it out
breakthroughs and
faster.
the dexterity. And, recently I talked to somebody like, we're going to be able to figure out how to emulate exactly how the top sushi chef at like Saito does his. And you know what? I was like, fuck, yeah, it's probably going to happen. Which again, not every restaurant's going to have robots, but it's definitely going to fucking happen. I'm terrified and also excited at the same time. That's not really what I want to talk about. It's like you have kids, 8 and 10. Did you ever want them to be in the culinary profession?
I'm a weird father, I think, in that I don't want anything for my kids other than what they want. I'm not going to push them or steer them or influence them. I'm actually very interested to not do that and see what happens. For them, TV is almost irrelevant. It's all YouTube. They want to be on YouTube. They want to be in the digital space as much as humanly possible.
So do you now.
Sure. 100%.
So do me.
And again, it's like, who knows what jobs are even going to be?
but food is going to be one, which is the weirdest fucking thing.
For sure. Yeah, I
can't
wouldn't
fucking wrap my head around that. This goddamn profession that we fell into some way.
The only way I've ever explained cooking or having restaurants for anyone, like should you go into it, should you not go into it? The only way you should go into it is if there's literally no other option in your mind. That's how much you're obsessed with it. That's how much you love it. Because it's so hard that if you have another option or you think, oh, well, maybe this or maybe that, you're going to get out of it. It kind of has to be the only thing for you to...
I disagree now.
Really?
Yeah. I think that you're going to have an influx of cooks. I thought that we had a lot to begin with. I think more and more people are going to enter the culinary profession because
they have to?
They have to.
Well, no. That's a different thing. Okay.
No, like
you're saying it like
people that would be normally white collar professionalized jobs.
Yeah, you're talking about
not career changing.
Yeah,
they're going to choose cooking before they career change.
Yeah, and you're getting into this paradoxical thing. Like I have a restaurant in Midtown that's filled with office space, and our struggle was after COVID, people only go to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday now. Now people are starting to get scared because they're like, well, AI's here and we can get you all out of here and do it without you. Okay, that's interesting because then what the hell are all these buildings for? And what are we going to do with them? And why are we destroying the planet, air conditioning them? And all these, like, yeah, but I hear what you're saying about, well, yeah, like plumbers are going to be fine. Short order diner cooks are going to be fine. And more people will go into it because they have to. That'll be interesting for us because we're sort of at the top of it. But
what is that going to reward, right? It's going to reward excellence. Like if you're a server and you're like a great captain, you are able to be the liaison with the SOM or the assistant SOM and the CDC expediting, and you have to be it's such a rare thing to be top level captain. It's a hard fucking job.
Okay, so cool. This relates to what we were talking about then. So maybe we're getting off track because we wanted to end dark, and this is optimistic.
I know.
But we're the same where we'll think optimistically, but go, that's not going to happen. But what we're kind of talking about is going towards a golden age to a certain point. If we're saying that everything has to be useful and everything has to be great at every level, so whether it's frozen pizza or 7-Eleven pizza sitting under a heat lamp or Domino's pizza or Series pizza, it all has to be amazing. And there's going to be an influx of fresh and eager workers. As a matter of fact, a surplus of them is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So then you have to be, we're back to like, oh, you have to be great.
Yeah.
We went through the opposite. We went through the dearth of talent. No one wants to work with you anymore. No one, the whole thing's changed. Okay, well then that means restaurants are going to be better than ever. And no matter what AI does, human beings are always going to want to leave where they are and go somewhere and be served food. It's an escape, right? So, okay. This sounds positive. We're getting weirdly positive in our old age.
I know.
5 years ago, we would not be talking like this.
No.
That we would have burned the whole world down 3 times over in this conversation.
We're normally much more dour and pessimistic, but...
You bring up that time we were getting drunk in London in that hotel.
It was such a sad day.
Oh, God. We were just like 9 espresso martinis deep, full blackout.
Yeah.
Just talking about the end of the world. The end of the culinary world.
We weren't wrong.
Hey, you did a whole I remember you did this whole essay in Lucky Peach. I think the title of it was "I See a Darkness Coming."
It happened.
It did. It did. Cooks work 37 and a half hours a week, 30-minute breaks. You don't set up your station anymore. Yeah. That all happened.
But, all for the better. And I think that's what we're talking about right now. Anyway, we need to get you out of here.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Where can we find you? Where can we find this new good guy version of Alex Stupak?
Jesus, I'm very focused on, the 3 restaurants that I have. I got, Empeon at 510 Madison. I have Empeon Al Pastor on the corner of St. Mark's and Avenue Way. And my oldest restaurant's 15 years now. I got Empeon Taqueria in the West Village. Super focused on those. I'm, otherwise I'm still going to open an American restaurant. I hope to be saying some news about that next spring, I hope. And yeah, otherwise I'm trying to figure out how to sell out and be the next, Food Network star.
Dude, it's going to happen. And where can they find these videos that you post?
My Instagram, it's just what am I? I'm just at Alex Stupak on Instagram and TikTok. We're transmitting the same information on YouTube, and that's it. I'm going to keep at it.
And subscribe for those channels, but make sure if you subscribe, please leave a comment and say that
I read
Alex
them all.
does.
Oh, I read them all. Please
leave a comment and say he's just cribbing and copying and making just a mockery of the things that came before him.
If you do a good enough job in the comments, y'all, I will mention you in the next video. I am looking at you. You all exist to me.
All right, brother.
Thank you. Great to see you.
I've been waiting for Alex to come on this pod so I could just figure out how to talk about whatever the hell we just talked about. And I think before, we were just using this metaphor before we left, that I think both of us have been trying to figure out how to talk about the sort of state of food, and we couldn't find the neighborhood. I think we're in the neighborhood. Now we just got to locate the house. After we locate the house, we got to locate the room in which all of this is emanating from. And that's the process that we're on, and not trying to piss off anybody. We're just trying to get a better idea on the lay of the land. Anyway, that's Alex Stupak. Good friend, one of the best and brightest. And I know he's going to figure it all out. Thank you guys. Subscribe to the show, and we'll see you soon. We'll be back in LA soon enough.